Go ahead.
The class. Today I start.
제가 이해했다.全然すぐ帰ってもらったから早っと思って。
So in the last lecture, we discussed about the income inequality, and we start actually a little bit about the measuring, how to measure the income inequality of the countries. And so in this lecture, we will try to teach two measures, right? The first one is the Lawrence curve that we start in the last lecture, and you guys already submit your homework, and some of you nicely draw the Lawrence curve. But still, I will explain today, and we also try to understand what is the meaning of the Lawrence curve and how the Lawrence curve gives us the information for the income inequality. And after that, we will also learn today in this class another measure that is called the Gini Coefficient, and that is also
Coefficient. So, see, you are not writing it at the end.
Okay. So these two measures, and the nice thing is that both of the measures come from the name from the individuals. The first Lawrence curve, so it comes from the name of one economist. His name is Max Lawrence, and he developed this Lawrence curve. So the name of the curve is the Lawrence curve. And this Gini coefficient, this also comes from another statistician from Italy. His name is Corrado Gini. According to his name, so the name of this coefficient comes. This is the source of how they make the naming. So let's learn today how we can actually these two. So first, the Lawrence invent the Lawrence curve, and then to make it like a more informative and to give more information about the income inequality, so the Gini make a calculation method how they can more precisely we can evaluate the income inequality. Okay, so let's learn today how we can get these two. So I may ask you to help me to draw the figure and to make the calculation in the board. So please be ready. let's start. So let's see this the distribution for the income for the one country. So we divide the total country people into 5 different quintile that we explained in the last class, right? Q1 until the Q5. So Q1 here means that the poor 20% of the country people, so who has the less resources of the country or less income in a way. So we say that the poor 20% of the people in country B, they only get 4% of the income of the total country, right? And then the second quintile, we say the low middle income people. So these are the low middle income people. These 20% people, they have the 10% of the country's total income share. And gradually you can see this increasing, right? So the middle people, so they have 14%. The high middle income people, 20%, they have the 24%. And finally, the high income people, they have the 48% of the total income of the country. So let's say this is the situation for the country B, and we will try to draw how unequal this country is by using this Lorentz curve and also by using the Gini coefficient from this data. Okay, so that's what we do in the last class as well, right? First we find the individual level. So this is the individual level. 20%, 20%, 20%, so in all single quintile. Then we need to calculate the cumulative, right? So I may ask you, okay, so if we make the cumulative, then we find like 20% people have the 4% income as a similar, but then we summarize, we sum up 40%. 40% people has total 14%. How this 14 comes? From here, right? So 10 plus 4. So here is the 14. And then the 16% people, how much income they have? So they have 20%. This 14% plus this 40%, so you got the 24%. So that's how we calculate first the cumulative level. Then we will start plotting them in the figure. So let's see how the figure looks like. in the last class, so we draw this figure, right? And we try to show that. So put the, is it clear on the back? Can you see the figure? Can you see the number clearly?
For the next time, it may be bigger on site.
Okay.
For the next time.
I see. Okay. So we put the cumulative percentage of the cumulative population in the horizontal axis. And we also put the percentage of the cumulative income on the vertical axis. Okay. So this is the starting. And by using this framework, so we will try to explain the Lorentz curve, and we will also try to explain the calculate the Gini coefficient. As I asked you in the last lecture, and you get the right point. So this 45-degree line, right? This 45-degree line means the line of perfect equality. It means that if a country is in this line, so this means that their percentage of the cumulative population and the percentage of income is exactly same, right? So this means that so if you see in this line, for example here, for instance, so here 20% income of that country is received by the 20% of the population. So very equal. And if you go for the 40%, you can see the same situation here. So 40% people has the 40% of the income. That's why we call this line as the line of the perfect equality. If one country has this kind of distribution of their income of the population, we can say that this country is in a perfect situation. Every people are considered to be equal. Is there any country in the world like that, where the country is in this line, where all the percentage of the population has the equal percentage of the income? So this line is only visible in this kind of plotting, but in the reality, there is no country who has this kind of perfect income distribution. In most of the countries' cases, so what we see, that the poor people have a very small share of their income, and the rich people have a very high share of their income. And day by day, in this world, this disparity or this difference is getting bigger and bigger. So more people are getting poorer, and few people are getting richer and richer. They have much more money, like for example, the CEO of the Amazon or the Elon Musk. So you see how much money they have, the founder of the Facebook, right? So some people are getting very rich. On the other hand, so the most importantly, so many people in Africa, in the Southeast Asia, so their situation is getting bad and worse, right, day by day. And one very important issue is this COVID-19 that is impacting the worldwide. And due to these things, this COVID-19, the poor people are even getting more poorer. So we cannot imagine this line of perfect equality in any country. So let's be a little bit realistic. So today we will going to talk about the country B that we was giving the example in the last lecture. So here we can see a little bit realistic situation of the country, right? So country, the poor 20% has a very small share of the income. And then the low middle 20%, they have 10%. So gradually increasing. And the high income people has a total 40% of the income of the country. So let's see how it looks like on the graph. So let me plot these numbers, right? Let's plot these numbers and try to join. And let's see how it looks like. for example, like 20% of the population has the 4% of the income. So if we plot on the figure, so here is the 20% of the population, and say here is the 4%, right? So 20% of the population has only the 4% of the income. So we can plot this country, this situation here in this figure, in this point. And gradually we will draw the other points. 40% of the population has the 14% of the income. So where is 14%? So it should be less than here, no? So this is 20. So 40 should be somewhere here, and this is 40%. So let's guess that this point is somewhere here, right? So we get 2 points. The first point is for this 20% has a 4% income. 14% has the 14% of the income. And then next, so 60% of the population has 28% of the income. So what is the 60% of the population? So in our graph, so 60% of the population is here, and they have 28%. So 28% should be somewhere in this region, right? So probably this 30 should be a little bit less than this 30. So approximately maybe say this is the situation. So 60% people have the 28% of the total income of the country. And gradually we'll also draw 80% people have the 52%. So 52% should be somewhere in this range, right? 40 to 60. And this is the 80% of the population. So let's say this point is somewhere here. And finally, in every cases, so we have 100% people, and 100% people have the 100% of their total income. So this is easy. So you can say here is the 100% of the population, and therefore is the 100% of the income. So maybe the point is somewhere like this. So let me join the lines. So we draw our first Lorentz curve. So by adding these dots in the graph and the figure that the line that we get, so this is called the Lorentz curve. So Lorentz first invent this line, and we will see how important this line is. So this is our Lorentz curve for the country B. So how we can interpret this line, or what is the, how can we evaluate the situation of the income distribution of the country? So as I said in the beginning, right? So this line is known as a line of perfect equality. So this 45-degree line is known as a line of perfect equality. If the country is in this line, so we'll say that the country income distribution is very good. So the far we are from this line, what does it mean about the inequality? Whether the inequality is increasing or the inequality is decreasing. Just a very common question, right? So if we keep going, if the country keep going in this direction, if the curve become like this, and for some country the curve is like going more and more in this direction. So what do you think? What will be the situation of the country? Whether the income inequality is increasing or income inequality is decreasing? Can I ask some students about their opinion? So anyone from the back? So the blue t-shirt? Blue shirt. So can you answer the question that I asked? So if one country get far from this 45-degree line, whether the inequality is increasing or decreasing? Yes.
The inequality is increasing.
Okay, inequality is increasing. Yeah, thank you very much for your answer. Yes, so if we are getting far from this one, so actually, so this line is known as the line of the perfect equality, and at the same time, this horizontal axis, so this is known as the line of the perfect inequality. Why? So say that if one country, so this no people have no income, just only one person has all the resources or all the income of the country has only belongs to one person. Only then we can reach in this line of the perfect inequality. Is it possible for any country to have this kind of distribution of their income? Like no person has.
The line of perfect inequality should be horizontal line up until 90% of the population.
Exactly.
And the last 1%
Goes.
So you must clarify that one.
Yeah. So the graph will be like this. So all the people until the 99% of the population, so they have
nothing.
They have nothing. They have zero income. And then the last 1%, the last person has all the income. So his curve will be like, the country's curve will be like this, right?
Actually, this is not God. King.
This is king, yeah.
Consisting of two lines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. So this is not the curve, it's the king. So we'll find this kind of king due to this very unequal income distribution. In this world, is there any country like that? There is no country in this world like that. So that's why, so only...
King, explain. Some students may not be familiar with the word king.
Oh, king, I see.
No. K-I-N-K. No. No E.
Maybe.
まあ、あるものがこう続いてこうなってる、このポイントをキングと言います。で、経済学だったり、数学だったり、物理だったりすると、このキングっていうものが現れる。
So we have here in this point, I think, one for the perfectly equal distribution of income of the country. Okay, so now you know the best situation and you also know the worst situation. If the country is in a very good situation, they are here. If a very bad situation, they are here. But normally no country is over there. So a bit more realistic figure that we draw this Lorentz curve for country B, right? It looks like this black line. But this is called the Lorentz curve. So now, so if you see the figure, right? So say this is the this triangle. This triangle is showing the distribution of one country, and your country has this kind of Lorentz curve. So here, by watching this figure, so how much you understand about the income inequality situation of the country? How much we can predict? Because this is just a graphical representation, right? There is no number or there is no numerics to calculate actually how much this area compared to this area, right? This ratio is important. We can compare the ratios by just imagining, say, it is not this area compared to this whole triangle. Is it 50% of the whole triangle? This area A compared to the area A plus B. How much is the area A? So that's the ratio, right? So let's from this figure. Can you predict like what should be the share? Is it 30%? 40%? 42%? What do you think? In your opinion, this area compared to this whole area, the percentage, how much it can be? Just any assumption. You don't need to calculate. Just by watching this figure, can you assume that how much this area should be compared to the total triangle's area? I said maybe 40%, right? Maybe 40%. Looks like that. Maybe 45%. But we need the exact number about this area, right? Compared to this whole area of the income distribution. So when Lorentz draw this figure or this curve, Lorentz curve in 1905, then this Italian statistician, so he considered there should be some number, some measure to calculate the proportion of this area compared to this whole triangle, right? And then he invented one coefficient, and this coefficient is known as Gini coefficient. Okay. So we'll also learn today how to get this Gini coefficient, and by calculating this Gini coefficient, we can say more precisely, we can say more accurately about the distribution condition of the country, how well the country's income is distributed. So let's do some kind of practice of the geometry, right? We will do so from now on and try to calculate this Gini coefficient. So Gini coefficient is the ratio of this area A as a portion of total area A plus B.
Oh no, just explain how you can calculate the area A.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So from now,
It's too easy to say no need A plus B. They can instantaneously calculate.
okay. Okay. If so, then yeah, how we can calculate the area A. So if you carefully look at the area A, so what we have in this area A? So how we can define this area A? Now let me split this area A in a nice way. So let's distribute the area A in 5 different categories. So why I do it and how I do it. So maybe some of you already familiar with this kind of calculation. So we have the triangle here, right? Triangle A1. We have 3 trapezoid. Trapezoid A2, A3, A4. And we have one more triangle here, A5. So if we can calculate the area of these 2 triangle and these 3 trapezoid, we can easily calculate the total area of this A, right? And the total area of A plus B, this is much more easier to calculate. Why? It's so easy. Because total A plus B is actually the whole area of this triangle. And you know the law, the rules, how to calculate the area of the triangle, right? Half into base into height. So area A plus B is very easy to calculate. The tricky part is to calculate area A. And once we have these 2 values, area A and area A plus B, then we can easily calculate this Gini coefficient. So can I start explaining?
No, I think they can calculate now.
Okay.
Without explaining.
I see.
じゃあ皆さん、そうですね、今、モイヌさんが言ったのは、左端と右端は三角形の、公式を使って簡単に A1 and A5 言わない？
I'm sorry?
The area of triangle left hand side and right hand side, you name it like that, A1 and A5.
Yes, the left one is the A1.
Alright.
And the right
A1 と A5 は三角形のエリアの計算でできるわけですね。高さと、要はここが、底辺で高さがこれで表されているので三角形の公式使ってできる。じゃあトラピゾイドっていうのは何かっつったら台形です。皆さん台形の公式、覚えてますね。Just in case.
Okay, yeah.
But most of the Japanese students study 台形の計算 probably somewhere.
Of course.
Elementary school は、I don't know. じゃあ A2、A3、A4 も台形の公式を使って計算できます。で、これら A1、A2、A3、A4、A5 の足し合わせたものが A だ。じゃあ A プラス B はどうやって計算するかって言ったらご存知の通りこの三角形ですね。この計算でできるわけです。じゃあ皆さん、ちょっとご自身で今から5分から10分程度時間を与えますので、ちょっとやってみてください。一応ここの情報を元にすればですね、ここの計算に必要な全ての情報は手に入っているはずです。これモイヌルさんのこのグラフがこのちょっと固めたらこれ完璧にバーティカル垂直だというまっすぐで A1、A5 は三角形、A2、A3、A4 は台形の計算、これでできます。で一応万が一あれ台形の計算でどうやってやるんだっけってなったら、ここに公式がモイヌルさん、書いてくれてるんでそれを使えば大丈夫です。
This is the area of a trapezoid, how we can get half into base 1 plus base 2 and multiply by the height. Then we can calculate the area of the trapezoid. And area of the triangle is much easier.
No.
Not only, right? Yes, everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
when we study trapezoid calculation, when we study triangle calculation area, is that elementary school? No.
For us, probably
Junior high.
junior high,
I see.
not elementary. A little bit slow, maybe.
I don't know.で最終試験ではですね、最終レポートでは、このジニコフィシエントの計算、数値を変えて、もうちょっと複雑なケースで皆さんにお願いすると思います。ですので、少なくともですね、手計算でこれ慣れておいて、で本番の試験の時にはもうちょっと複雑なやつ出しますが、基本的にはこれが分かっていれば計算できるような内容のジニコフィシエントの計算問題を出す予定しています。よろしくお願いします。After they seem to finish, you can just write down only answer. A1 is
Yeah, just now.
And then other quiz, probably you can give them. Simply change the number.
Yeah, that's right.
Here, change the number. Okay, and then answer.
give the answer here. So after you calculate the whole thing, so the Gini coefficient for this country will be 0.408, right? So the Gini coefficient itself is the number or the ratio that can be, the lowest can be the 0 and the highest can be the So if you see this number of the Gini coefficient, any country, it cannot exceed 1. Maximum it can be 1, and the minimum it can be 0, right? Sometimes you may see that, okay, the Gini coefficient is 60%. So what they do, they just multiply by the 100 by make it percentage. So don't be confused. The Gini itself should always be in the 0 to 1. If the country Gini is 0, it means that the country's income distribution is very perfect, it's very good. So that all the people have the equal share of the income. And one country, if the Gini coefficient is 1, it means that all the resources is accumulated only one individual, and other people don't have any income. But that is the extreme case, and no country in this world have 0 or 1 value. So let's be a little bit realistic in the real world. What can be the very good value, I mean the very good number for the Gini coefficient? How we can say that whether the country's income distribution is good or bad? So what can be a sensible number for the income distribution by the context of the Gini coefficient? Any idea? 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. What should be in the real world? Anybody has any idea? Maybe no, right? Because is it the first time you hear about this Gini coefficient? First time? Have you ever heard about the Gini coefficient so far? This is the first time for you to hear about it? In another lecture, you have experience? You do so? Okay. So you have knowledge, right? A little bit about what does this Gini coefficient actually want to say. So let's say the Scandinavian countries, like Sweden, Denmark, right? Those countries, so more or less we know, over there, the income distribution is much more equal, right? Compared to the other part of the world. On the other hand, the African countries, right? And say the South Africa, Guatemala, or like Ivory Coast. So those countries, the income distribution is very unequal. Most of the resources in one or two persons' hand. So in real world, the Gini coefficient looks like 0.2 to 0.3, right? If the country has a Gini coefficient of 0.2 to 0.3, it seems like this country has a nice distribution of the income. And many countries in the Scandinavia and also in the Europe, so they have the value of the Gini coefficient between 0.2 to 0.3. On the other hand, so the South Africa, for instance, so their Gini coefficient is more than 0.6, okay? And like a 0.61, 62, so those are the numbers where we should be worried about that. So why don't we try to classify a bit more to get a good picture. So let me give you some number. Okay, from now on, right? In the future. So if you see the different sources provided, basically the World Bank provide the Gini coefficient of the world in a regular basis in the database. And if you see the one country has the Gini coefficient in this range, okay, 0.2 to 0.3. So you can overall consider the country has a relative equality of the distribution of the income, right? Many Scandinavian countries and the European countries are in this area, in this group. And then we categorize. So this is actually not like a fundamental. This is just like comparative, very much comparative. And from 0.3 to 0.4, we can say that those countries has the adequate equality. If the country's situation, the Gini coefficient become from 0.4 to 0.5, we will consider, okay, there is a big income gap on those countries. And finally, if it goes over 0.5, then we will say that there is a severe income gap. By considering this structure, we can get overall view or overall picture of a country, how much unequal or how equal their income is distributed. Okay, so this information will be give you also the kind of image how good that country to live in this consideration. So yeah, so as I said, that probably the South Africa, Malawi, and some African countries, they have the value over 0.5. So in this case, there's a severe income gap, and some good living standard countries has in this situation.
Okay. Please ask some students in the current situation in Japan.
Okay.
What do they get? Well, they may know it, but
I think you guys have already know that what is the Gini coefficient of Japan. So anybody can answer me voluntarily?
you don't need to. I mean, they are not required. Just guess.
Okay, yeah, just guess. So what is the Gini coefficient of Japan right now?
Range.
Mm-hmm.
They can answer which range.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so can you answer the first that? So can you answer that in which category Japan itself is right now in the consideration of the Gini coefficient?
Well, please ask a different person. You keep asking same person.
No.
Which person?
I'm asking you the white mask. So, yeah.
Well, I think you was asked individually by you.
Okay. Sorry. So yeah. So anyone? Can you answer? So in which group Japan now?
0.3.
0.2 to 0.3. I see. Any other opinion? What do you think about Japan? Which group Japan?
I think Japan is in relative
Relative equality. You mean the first one? 0.2, 0.3? I see. Okay. So I'll take one or two more response.
Probably the student may know it. That's my guess.
Okay. Yeah.
What they may be.
Yeah, I think Japan is now from 0.3 to 0.4 scale.
Maybe somewhere.
Somewhere
Actually,
around
it's not going to be in a big income gap.
Right. Not the income gap is not big, and probably so just check in the online. You can easily check, right? The Gini coefficient of Japan, Gini coefficient of the USA, Gini coefficient of China. Just see these three big countries, economy in the world. USA number 1, China number 2, Japan number 3. So if you see the size of the GDP, size of the income, you can say that okay, so USA is very good, China is also very good, Japan is good as well. So, but if you see the Gini coefficient, maybe your perception will change a little bit. So please check. So if you have the mobile phone, please check the Gini coefficient of the USA, the Gini coefficient of the China, and Gini coefficient of the Japan. Which range? So I will ask you, which range USA is, in which range China is. So these three top countries. Please search.
Actually, 2 to 3 years ago, it was around maybe 0.3 in Japan.
So,
And maybe USA is over maybe 0.4, maybe about. And China, maybe around 10. At least they are around maybe 0.4 or something. But you are asking students to search, right?
yeah, that's right.
Recent estimate we can write down.
Yeah. So I want to know that how you find the situation of the countries considered the Gini coefficient, because only the GDP itself or the country's total income itself is not a very good indicator to show how well the country is doing or how welfare the nation itself has. So it's better to know several different indicators from several different contexts. So that is the purpose of today's class, you know. Okay, so anyone, so tell me, in which group Japanese right now by seeing the data?
You can ask some pinpoint number.
Pinpoint number, okay.
Maybe.
Okay, the guy, the yellow hat. So can you tell me the Gini coefficient of Japan? Do you find the Gini coefficient of Japan? Okay. And one, the person in the last, so can you tell me the Gini coefficient of China? By searching by the mobile phone is fine. The Gini coefficient of China. So if you see the world rank in the income, so you find this order. USA number 1 in the income, China number 2, and Japan number 3. I want to know specifically by using your technology, let me know the Gini coefficient of these countries. Okay, first for the USA. So the first person in the very front. So can you tell me the Gini coefficient of USA?
Well, even to ask him to answer USA.
Oh, so I ask you for the USA? Okay, so, yeah, please. Zero point 0.39. Okay. Thank you. Okay, 0.39 for the USA. Did I ask someone for the China? Did you get for China? No? Just thinking this name. How about Japan? Japan, yes. 0.34, thank you. China, anybody ask to answer for the Gini coefficient for China? Yeah, sure. Yes, please use your smartphone to identify. Anybody tell me the Gini coefficient of China? Do you find the Gini coefficient of China? No? Your mobile phone? China? What is is the value?
0.468.
0.468. Thank you.
USA は bit lower than I expected.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought it go over 0.4. Bit amazing.
Okay, so by using your help, so now I put the value for the Gini coefficient, right? Now see the situation. So this is the top 3 economy in the world, and this is the Gini coefficient for these 3 economy. So considering to the situation, Japan, USA, and then China. So these are the order for the Gini coefficient. So although the economy itself is doing very good in a way, the scale of the GDP, but the distribution of income itself is another very important thing. And if we overlook that part, so we will misunderstood the situation of the country or the situation of the economy. Why these things is important? Why we need to know the inequality in the economy? Do you guys know about the French Revolution? Have you ever heard about the French Revolution? You know the Napoleon, right? Napoleon Bonaparte. Okay, so I guess so you guys know, because this is very so this is the time 1789 to 1799 in France. So there was a big revolution happened. These 10 years. So from the system of the monarchy, France became a more democratic country. And this is a very big lesson for the world. Why this French Revolution took part, or why these things happen in one country, like a civilized economy, like in France. Because at that time, in 1780 to 1789, the income inequality increased very high. So only the rich people of the France have lots of money, lots of resources. But the poor people was suffering a lot. They didn't have any income. They didn't have much resources. And there was one natural disaster happened at that time, and that made the situation even worse. So people really struggling to get the food for the poor people. And the rich people have like a full table of the food, so like that. So the income inequality became very high at that time. So that's why the French people start the revolution. And that is known as the French Revolution. And due to this revolution, the monarchy system of the French disappeared, and Napoleon Bonaparte take the charge of the France. So that's how the country's whole story or the country's condition will change if there is a very high level of the income inequality. So people gradually become more and more unstable. They may become more and more violent. They may not accept the ruler, what the ruler is saying, if the inequality is very high. That's why it's very important for every country to keep the equality in the economy for the sustainable development of the country. So I think so you guys now get some overview, right? So why this income distribution or income equality and income inequality, those topics is very important for the economy of any country and for the development, for sustainable development that we're talking about. Any question so far about this lecture? If you have any question, then I'll try to answer. And if not, maybe, so we'll go for the next part of the today's lecture. We have still 21 minutes. So.
Hey, where's the cap? まあ皆さん、この授業の最初の方でパバティにはオブソリュートパバティとオブソリュートパバティ、レラティブパバティ、この2つがあるといったことは覚えていらっしゃいますでしょうか。 のジニコフィシエントはどちらかというとレラティブパワティをと関連してですね、自分の年収が相対的にどの辺にあるのか、そして相対的にインカムがどのようにディストリビューションされているのかということを測る、一つの指標です。でですね、ここで注目していただきたいのは、なんで経済学者が、このジニコフィシエントにこだわるかといったら、歴史がもう証明しているからです。Moiner said, you are French Revolution, yeah? But every revolution in this world highly related to income distribution. If you go to the African country, you realize many things are unstable. Why? Income distributions are quite high. Zimbabwe, you say Ivory Coast,
Malawi,
and then South Africa.
South Africa, very high.
で、なんでインカムディストリビューションが不平等の度合いが高ければ高いほど社会が不安定になるのかといえば、自分がここのプアに入ったら自分の人生をより良くするためには一発逆転を狙うしかないからです。私のですね、知り合いがアフリカ開発銀行の理事をしていましたが、その理事の方が言っていました。僕がアフリカに生まれたらもうやることは革命戦争に身を投じるぐらいでしか自分の人生をより良くする方法ないねということですね。じゃあロシア革命もありました。ロシアンレボリューション、ロシアンエンパイア、シンプリコラプス。日露戦争でロシアが日本に負けた後、ニコライ2世が失脚してロシア革命によって家族全員殺されて、レーニンとマルクスの時代がやってくるわけですね。で、赤の軍団って言いましたけども、要は秘密警察とか、その赤の軍団っていうのは赤の革命とかが起こって、結局、ロシア革命もほとんど同じなわけですね。フランス革命と。フランス革命の合言葉は何かご存知ですか？じゃあフランス革命の合言葉知ってます？本よりパン。トルストイとかドフトエフスキーの小説を読むとですね、ロシア人がいかに文学が大好きかというか、ごく一部のあれですけども、で要はトルストイとかそういうロシア文学を読むとですね、なんとなくロシアの当時の社会背景が分かってきます。要は高尚な概念や哲学なんかよりも 99% の民衆は我々にパンをくれ。でニコライ2世をお前多額の金使って日本に攻め入ったけど負けてんじゃねえよってね、怒りが爆発して、ニコライ2世は一気に革命によって倒されるわけですが、そのですね、ニコライ2世が失脚する前日にですね、アメリカの有名な、人がですね、ロシアに招かれてニコライ2世の前に踊りを披露するっていうようなイベントがあった時に、そのアメリカの女性がいかにロシアが不安定かっていうのを車の中に乗っていて感じたその式があったりするんですが、まさにですね、このインカムインクオリティの度合いというのがその社会の安定度を表すわけですが、非常に面白い事実ありますよね。チャイナの、政権を握っているのはどういう、組織だったか皆さん覚えてますよね。じゃあすいません。じゃあここの誰が権力握ってるチャイナはで、建前上どういう主義主張を持ってます？チャイナって。
ちょっと覚えてないです。
じゃあ今の政党は何？チャイナの政治を司っている政党。民主主義、そもそも民主主義じゃない。で、建前上経済は何主義？ここにね、今中国の抱える一つの矛盾がもろに出てるんだよね。
社会主義。
共産主義でね、社会主義とも言う場合、はい、共産主義で、政党の名前はじゃあチャイナのトップ初期長、チャイナは how we call it his power 習近平 what is his title 国家主席習近平国家主席 これ共産主義ってどんな主義だったかみんな覚えてます？何目指すんでしたっけ、共産主義って。平等平等な社会でね、ジニコフィシエントを出すとね、これ平等なんかなって言ったら面白いのはね、資本主義の都って言われてる USA よりもね、これすごいよね。アリババみたいなあれだけども、ただアリババのマーさんって、アリババを作ってマーさんって世界で I don't know what's his ranking about wealth in the world ranking? Is he in top 10?
I don't think so.
Not
Not
even
in the top 10 probably.
Really? 皆さんアリババとかなんかマーさんっていう人が最近ですね、中国の、共産党をですね批判して行方不明になったの知ってます？マーさん、ジャックマーさん、ちょっとお時間あればですね、ジャックマーって調べてね、アリババっていうインターネット企業を一台でバーって作って、もともとはしがない英語教師からいきなり身を立てて、要はアメリカでいうところのベゾスとかそんな感じですけども、彼とかですね、要は何人も大金持ちが出てきて、あとよく言われるのは中国の場合は汚職がすごいってことですね。汚職でもこんなことを僕が中国国内で共産党は汚職がすごいっつったら速攻捕まる可能性ありますし、そういう可能性もあるんですが、ただしここで一つ気づいてもらいたいのは、ジニコフィシエントが物語っている面白い事実としては、共産主義国であるチャイナの方が USA よりも高くて、多分 USA は昔もうちょっと高かったような気がしますね。で日本はだいたい 0.3 から 0.2 の間を行ったり来たりしているような感じで、最近になって多分小泉政権になってですね、いろんなものを自由化して、非正規労働者もどんどん企業がですね雇えるようになった。でそうなっちゃったことで日本のジニコフィシエントはどちらかというと悪くなっていっているっていう方向ですね。はい、ですのでですね、この授業でですね、一つこのレラティブパワー T、 そしてインカムディストリビューションについて、このジニコフィシエントでいくつか、学んできたわけですが、このことがですね、意外といろんな事実、その国に関する発展度合いと分配安定性についていろいろ物語る事実ということで覚えておいてください。で最終レポートはですね、これに関してですね、もうちょっと複雑なのを出すかもしれませんが、基本的にこれを理解していれば答えられるような問題を出すと思います。Alright, probably today's assignment, bit changing this number and assign.
Jack was 17 now. 17. China number 1.
Is he dead?
No, he's alive. So
But he 2 months or
2
3
months, 2 months the rulers. Yeah.
時々そのジャック・マーっていう人は行方不明に2ヶ月ぐらいになって、で突然この間現れてきて、いろいろ事情があるんだと思います。じゃあこれからですね、モイネルさんがジニコフィシエントに関する課題を出しますので、皆さん、それをメモして、で、まだ時間になってませんが、時間のある限りここで解いていただいて、写真を撮って、Gmail アカウントの方に送ってください。ほら。
So I will give the example, real example of USA in this case. So just change the number by USA share.
じゃあ今からなんか USA のデータに変えて課題を出してくれるそうなんで。No need.
Yeah. So by using this data, so this is the case for the country USA. Yes. So let's do it as a quiz for today. Let's calculate the Gini coefficient of the USA by yourself. And this is the data. So
This is the real data.
This is a little bit older.
Old, okay.
Little bit old. I think it's about,
At least.
yeah, at least the real situation of the USA.
じゃあちょっとデータは古いらしいですが、これ USA のやつらしいので、これをもとに まあ、今日のアサイメントとしては、ジニコエフィシエントを間違いのないように計算して、で課題として今日提出してください。でまだ時間があるんですが、一応ここであれで、もし時間がある方はこのままここに解いて写真を撮って、Gmail アカウントに送って